Sometimes the most advanced ideas take us to the most primitive parts of the world. That's why I was diving one summer at the bottom of a remote South American lake. It wasn't rare fish that I was after, but a weed. A weed with special properties. Above me in our boat was my employer, Professor Auerbach, and his daughter. The professor was doing a research project for a pharmaceutical company. He was using the fibers of this plant to make a culture for a new wonder drug that he was developing. He was so devoted to his work that he had made the trip himself into this wilderness, and he was as impatient as a schoolboy. I'd found a good spot and began gathering the plants. It was hard work at that depth, and I couldn't possibly work fast enough or stay down long enough to please the professor. In his enthusiasm, he minimized the problems of working underwater. In fact, all the problems of our project, including the hostility of the local fishermen to this abrupt intrusion of the 20th century into their age-old way of life.
Just after you went below. What do we do?
Oh, ignore them. Pretty hard to ignore a gun. Have you tried talking to him?
Well, I'm a bacteriologist, not a diplomat.
I'll give it a try.
How's your Spanish?
Not too good. Senor, puedo hablarle. Estamos amigos.
Amigos. What is this thing you have on your back?
It gives me air when I'm underwater. I just getting this weed here.
You will not be funny with me, mister.
It's the truth. It's a special kind of a weed. It's for this gentleman here. He's a bacteriologist.
What does he want with the weed?
He's going to make a medicine from it.
Medicine? On the bottom of the lake? You think that I believe that? You have come for the fish. You have a way to capture hundreds of them all in one time, huh? You will frighten away the fish as the big steel airboats have frightened away the ducks and they don't come back.
Steel airboats?
No, you must mean a jet plane. There's a jet air base nearby. Look now. We're telling you the truth. We're not after your fish.
We stay. We wash.
Well, let's move to another spot. Bottom of the lake must be covered with these weeds.
What if it isn't? I'll waste a lot of time looking around for another spot.
I'll pitch in and help. I'll dive alongside.
Oh, I don't think that's wise.
I think it's very wise. Come on, Pedro.
Any reason why he shouldn't dive?
No reason.
Thought you said he was an expert diver.
He is.
Well, what's the problem, then?
No problem. Being his daughter, I have a right to worry about him, don't I?
Well, we got rid of him anyway. I hope so.
How you feel?
Trim as an eel. I'll beat you down by 50 feet.
You've dived in deep water, huh?
Yeah, it's 100 feet or so.
That's a lot deeper here.
Dad, now you be careful.
Both of you are acting like I'm a 10-year-old going in for his first swim. Well?
Dad, your glasses.
Oh.
For an old man, the professor seemed to handle himself unusually well, even though he wasn't accustomed to diving, especially at these depths. It seemed to me that Marion had no reason to worry about him. Another bed of plants, and Professor Auerbach was very pleased. All he could think of was his precious plants and gathering them as fast as he could. But I knew that overexertion at this depth could be extremely harmful, especially if you aren't used to it. So after a while, I suggested that we call it a day. The professor started up. I followed. Then it happened. The sudden appearance of a big alligator was too much for the professor. He knew that they wouldn't bother a diver, but panic made him forget everything. He shot to the surface as fast as he could. The rapid change of pressure was sure to be dangerous, but he was gone before I could stop him. I had to go up slowly myself, for the change in pressure would get me, too.
Pedro! Pedro! Hurry! Hurry!
I can't stand this.
It's about time. Where were you?
How bad are they?
Oh, it's unbearable.
What's happened to him?
It's a bad case of the bends. Come on, Pedro. Help me.
For heaven's sakes, what are you doing?
The only thing I can do. Take him back. Down.
Are you out of your mind or something?
Take it. You're going to kill him.
Kill him?
Yes. He needs a decompression chamber.
A decompression chamber, but we don't...
Now, there's no time to explain. Every second counts. Give me that marker board, huh, Pedro? Hold it. Hold it, Pedro. Now, listen. You're going to feel all right. Much better when you get down there. You understand? Hand me those weight belts, huh? When we get down.
Oh.
Does he fix his mask all right? You got your mouthpiece? All right, let's go. Put him around his shoulder, huh? That's right. The other one? Okay, fella. Let's go. Marion was almost hysterical, but there was no time to explain to her how her father's body had become riddled with tiny air bubbles. A return to the heavy pressure below would get rid of those bubbles and keep more from forming. This would give the professor some relief. But he couldn't stay down there very long. Bringing him slowly to the surface in the usual way wouldn't be adequate now. His body had had a terrible shock. He needed several hours of decompression, the kind that he could get only inside a chamber. This signal line was now his only link with us and with life. A link that would be broken permanently if we couldn't find a decompression chamber. A hopeless task in this wilderness.
He's down below.
You left him down there by himself?
I had to. That's all I could do. We need help. Oh, no. That's all we need. Well, it gives me an idea. Keep your eye on that marker down there. Let me know if your father signals. G57. G57, calling anyone. Emergency. G57, G57, calling anyone. Emergency, emergency. Over.
Delmonico here. What is your trouble? Over.
I want to contact the jet air base near Lake Valdez. Over.
Just a minute. I will look up the band and call number. Over.
Hurry, please. Over. Now, don't worry. He'll be all right for a while. I checked his air. I checked everything.
Well, what if we can't get help?
Well, we'll find another way.
What way? You know there's nothing out here.
G57, Delmonico, over.
This is G57. Come on in, Delmonico. Over.
That Valdez Air Base call number is G-64. Ban 20-40. Over.
Roger. Thanks. G57, over and out. Come in, G64.
G57, this is G54.
This is an emergency. We have a case of the bends here, and we're miles from any decompression chamber. Over.
G57, bring him to the airbase immediately for treatment.
There's no way to get him there in time. Now listen, this is what I have in mind. I've done some work with pressure suits back in the States. Your Air Force uses them for high altitude flying, isn't that right? Over.
Yes, over.
That's what I figured. Now, how quick can you fly one to me? We're in the north end of Lake Valdez. Over.
G57, it will take 20 minutes.
That's great. Tell them to look for a smoke flare, huh? Hurry. G57, over and out. Well, got ourselves a pressure suit.
Poor Dad. I never did understand what the bends were. Must be awful.
The bends are, well, they're kind of like opening a soda pop bottle too fast. The sudden release of pressure creates all those bubbles. When your father came up too fast, the sudden release of pressure on him created all those bubbles in his body. And nitrogen bubbles all throughout his whole system. They're very painful, and they can be fatal unless you get rid of them right away. The only way to do that is to cap the bottle or take your father down to the bottom again.
Well, I thought we needed a decompression chamber for that.
We do. That's a little too heavy to drop. Next best thing to it is the pressure suit.
Will it really work?
Well, I don't know if it's ever been tried before, but it should work. The Air Force uses it for supersonic flights at tremendous altitudes. And the body undergoes the same kind of pressure changes down below as it does up there. Look at that. Mark, boy, get that extra tank for me, will you? Now, if that jet comes by, be sure and put up a smoke flare, huh?
On the way down, I hoped and prayed that all he needed was another tank of air. Back to the surface now, with no decompressor waiting for him, would be inviting death. But he was losing consciousness. I had to take him up now.
Nothing to do but wait.
Wait? How much longer can we wait? Look at him.
Listen. Pedro, get that smoke flare. He's just turning around. He's going to come in low before he drops it. There he comes.
Look! The pressure suit!
Take it, senor.
Wouldn't do you any good. It was dropped for us.
Carlos, you will bring it in the boat.
The other man on my boat is very sick. His life depends on this.
Carlos.
If I don't get this to him in time, I'm going to hold you responsible for his death.
Get in the boat. We will see.
Here, help me with this. Gonna be all right now, fella? Is he all zippered up there? On your side? Now, give me the hose, huh? All right, kick it over. Works. Give me that folder.
The pressure suit would only become effective when attached to an air compressor. I wasn't sure if the one we used for our diving lungs would do the trick. If the two fishermen would leave us alone long enough to use it. We had to follow the tables which prescribed how much pressure to use and how long to use it.
How long will it take?
Hours. It's like bringing him up to the surface, very, very slowly.
Is he out of danger?
A little prayer might help.
Carlos, escopeto. Senor, you steal this from the bottom. It is food for our fish.
Plenty more where that came from.
It belongs here. It belongs to us.
Listen, the fish belong here too. But you catch them and sell them, don't you?
See, we sell.
All right. Why don't you catch this weed and sell that to us?
You pay?
Yeah, sure, we pay. Professor needs a lot of this. Much more than we can gather.
How much you need?
Enough to keep you busy when you're not catching any fish.
We had brought the professor back to surface pressure. Time and rest would complete the cure.
How do you feel, Dad?
Sorry I behaved so badly down there, Mike.
Forget about that. You're okay, that's the important thing. And you found what you were looking for.
Yes. Yes, how soon will I be able to start gathering the weed?
If I were you, I wouldn't worry about that.
I'll worry, of course I worry. We only have the... Great Scott, where did he come from? Well, look at him, he's going to take the weed.
No, he's going to find you some more. I made a deal with him while you slept.
Alfonso, ¿habláis muy billetes?
Sí,
¿Mucho dinero?
sí. Ven out por él.
Here. Hey, take this. But be careful.
Gracias.
Ándele.
This is G64. G64. Calling G57. Over.
G57, come on in, G64.
How did the pressure suit work out?
It worked. Thanks. G57 over and out.
Well,
Professor Auerbach got his plants after all, and the local people were given a small introduction to what was to become a new prosperity and a new way of life. Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. You know, 3/5 of the world is covered by the sea, and how little most of us know about that underwater world. Go below with us again next week, huh? For another thrilling adventure in Sea Hunt.
The knife.
Radioactive! I've had that knife for 7 years. It must have been near something hot.
The fish. I was cleaning the fish with this knife. If this fish is radioactive, it is from the water he has been in.
But we've been all over the surface, too.
But underneath, or the bottom, the currents from upstream someplace. 1,000 possibilities underwater.
Yeah, could be, and that cooks us. Till we grow fins. A fortune waiting for us down there and we can't get at it.
Fred! Who says we cannot grow fins? Remember the skin diver we meet at Silver Springs? He has his own fins.
Yeah, of course, that guy Nelson.
Maybe he will come in on the deal, huh?
Let's try it.
Well, radiation is something I'm not very familiar with.
There's practically no risk at all, Mike. You see, the uranium in the ore deposits isn't concentrated enough. The danger comes when you start to refine it. It wasn't even strong enough to hurt that fish.
What about that river bottom along there? You know anything about it?
Not too much. I understand there's a lot of underground springs that feed in through the caves and the rocks. The channel's about 20 or 30 feet deep. Pretty shallow along the riverbank.
How'd you happen to pick that riverbank anyway to prospect?
Oh, the clay shows traces of uranium. A lot of people had it assayed, but it wasn't strong enough to make it commercial. I'm just as sure as I live that nobody's come to the real concentration because it's right down there at the river bottom, wherever that fish came from.
Well, it certainly sounds intriguing. Kind of like to be a part of all this.
Does this mean you will come with us, Mr. Nelson?
Well,
A third of the profits could mean a lot of money, boy. Me, everything I owned I put into it. I believe in it that much.
I might try it for a couple of weeks. That might be long enough if we organize it scientifically.
You come with us and you can organize it any way you want it. When do we start?
Tomorrow morning early enough?
Not for Fred.
I'll settle for that.
We fitted the Geiger counter into a waterproof container. That is, we hoped it was waterproof. We made inquiries and studied maps of the area as if we were going fishing. We could hear the clicks through the case. Our Geiger counter was waterproof. It worked as well underwater as it did above, clicking all the time.
It works. Best knife I ever had.
I worked underwater with a Geiger counter, carefully and systematically covering one area after another. It was hard, tedious work, day after day, but I didn't find anything.
Boy, he's sure taking his good-natured time.
So?
You know something? He could pull a real fast one on us.
Fred, he is a nice fellow. He is not going to pull anything on us.
He could find a dozen hot spots down there and not let us know.
Just like in the westerns, huh? He's going to gallop into town and file a claim before we can get there.
Yeah, exactly. 3/3 is better than 1/3 in anybody's book.
Not in an honest man's.
Yeah, you're too simple-minded. Boy, I sure wish I could listen in down there.
The monotony of the search and the long effort without any sign of success wore out our enthusiasm when we began to get on each other's nerves.
Yeah, I think I'll knock off for a couple hours. Going to town.
Why?
See if I got any mail.
You expecting something important?
Yeah, an answer to a letter that I wrote about a job that's coming up. I asked him to postpone it for a while until I finish with you fellas.
How long do you think that'll take?
Well, we only have a couple of streams to check, small ones. I think only take about 2 days at the most.
And you're through with us, huh?
You are forgetting, Fred. Mike's 2 weeks is up yesterday.
Shut up and keep out of this.
What do you mean, shut up?
Hey, now, wait a minute. There's nothing to get excited about.
Maybe you think there isn't. Maybe I think there is.
Like what?
Never mind. I'll go get the mail for you.
What's with you, buddy, anyway?
Forgive him, Mike. He did not mean anything.
He doesn't? Are you sure he doesn't think I'm double-crossing him? What about you? You think I'm double-crossing you?
No, I do not. And Mike, Fred is a nice fellow. It is this uranium thing. It is like a sickness. A very bad sickness.
I kept on looking. Suddenly, I thought I was getting a response. The clicks were getting faster and faster. I was close to something hot. I was so interested in my search that I didn't notice I was sliding into a muddy part of the bottom, like quicksand. The more I moved, the deeper it sucked me in. I had to use my head, and fast.
What's he doing now? I don't even see his bubbles.
The bubbles on the other side of the river.
Okay. You row.
What's the matter? Did something happen down there?
Yeah, a couple of things. But one of them is good. Pry bar. Give me a pry bar. just great. All we need now is a bigger sample so we can get it assayed.
Yeah, you know, it might just be a rock that's picked up radioactivity from the water around it.
But at least we know that it comes from this spring.
I think we ought to move camp over on the other side of the river before I dive again. It'll make it a lot easier.
Just across the river. Well, we've found it at last, boys. Let's go to work.
Now I suppose there will be no more fishing. We must go to work and become rich.
Or you object to being rich, huh?
No! I think a rich fisherman can catch as much as a poor one.
That's us, the three rich fishermen. Together all the way, boys, right?
Let's make our money first, huh? You know, I had a little trouble out there. I cracked this casing against a rock. It'll probably leak when I take it down. Gonna have to take it in town and get it fixed.
I'll take it in.
Well, thanks just the same, but I'll do it.
Hey, why are you so anxious to go to town?
I want to see if they do a good job on this.
Together, all the way, Fred.
Yeah.
Henry, fill these tanks for me while I'm away, will you please?
Sure. Me and the compressor are all friends by now.
What were you and Nelson talking about before?
Nothing. I asked him to order some supplies.
We don't need any supplies.
Well, we need food. Now that I'm rich, I may give up fishing.
Will you cut out the wisecracks and give me a straight answer? What are you and Mike up to?
Nothing, Fred. Believe me, nothing.
Quit stalling. You had him break that casing on purpose so he could go into town alone and file a claim in his name and yours, didn't you? You break your stunning down!
Come on. What's going on here? What's the matter with you, Truett?
All right, Nelson. I'm gonna take you first.
Well, that's all right with me. But what for?
Because I don't like working with liars. That's what for. Turning on that compressor and making deals in front of me, huh?
Deals? It's no use. There is only one way to convince him.
Now, easy. I'll show you what kind of a deal we've been making. It's about time you grew up. There. Now, there's your deal, a knife. To replace the one that you dropped in the river. You want to make you a present of it.
I'll give it to him the way he deserves. Right between the ribs.
Stop it now.
Hey, Nelson! Put down that knife. Now we're going to see who's telling the truth.
Tie him up, Hank.
What?
There's the rope. Tie him up good and tight. Move. Both of you. And tie up his feet, too. And when you get that done, put on his air tank and go down where he brought up that sample and let's see if it was ordinary rock.
Me? I can hardly swim, much less dive.
That's just the idea. And when you're down there, I know you won't run away. You've been watching him long enough to know how to work that diving stuff. So you're gonna bring me up a nice big sample of ore.
That mud down there's like quicksand. It'll suck him under in no time.
Shut up, Nelson! I'm not letting a fortune get away that easy. Go. Hold it! Not that way. Back it off. Thought I forgot about the knife, didn't you? Go ahead. Start getting into that diving stuff.
I must go?
Yeah, go.
Henri was no one to send diving. He could hardly swim, and he was very sensitive to pressure changes. If he got into that tricky bottom that caught me, there wasn't much chance that he'd ever come up. Just what happened. He stepped right into that soft mud and sank. He kept struggling and sinking in deeper. Luckily for Henri, the water was crystal clear at that spot. Fred, sitting above in the boat, could see what was happening. He suddenly realized what he was doing, that he was murdering his friend.
I need your help. I think he's stuck down there. I see him sort of struggling. I think he's in trouble.
I told you that mud would suck him under. Get my other tank.
I stopped him before he filled it.
I'll have to dive without it.
I was hoping that I'd be able to stay down long enough without a diving lung to pull Henri out. I reached for him, and he grabbed me in a death grip like a drowning man. I had to pull out his mouthpiece to make him let go. Then I surfaced quickly to get air and to get a line.
Is he still alive? Yeah. That rope. Give me an end of it. You take the other. Find a tree and tie it tight.
I filled my lungs with air and swam down again to Henri to tie the line to him. Then I surfaced with the end of the line. and I pull together, hard, we might still get Henri out, alive.
Will be all right.
What's this all about?
Hank, I could have killed you. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, that uranium seems to have a bad effect on you, even before you get a hold of it.
Uranium? That's what I came out here about. Mr. Nelson, I saw you in town with that tricked-up Geiger counter, and I finally figured out what you guys are doing out here. You're looking for uranium in these streams, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right.
Did you find any?
Pretty strong response right over there.
Fellows, that isn't uranium. That's a trickle of waste from a government atomic plant up north of here.
What?
We've been looking for it for months. It apparently leaks into one of the underground springs that feeds in here. Uncle Sam will thank you for tracing it.
The whole thing. Nothing but a pipe dream.
And now, maybe you will give up this wild dream and go back to a normal life, huh?
You bet I will, Hank. Well, at least I got a new knife out of the deal. Thanks, Hank. And thank you, Mike, for saving my buddy's life.
Hi, I'm Lloyd Bridges, inviting you to join us for another action-packed story of underwater adventure 1 week from today. On June 17th, ferocious Hurricane Dora struck one of the islands of the British West Indies. Ocean-going ships were crushed like toys and tossed up on razorback reefs. One ship, the SS Minerva, went to the bottom just offshore in 70 feet of water. Robert Lambert, a scuba diver hired by the company which insured the Minerva's cargo, found the ship. He was inspecting her hull when suddenly a spear flashed by him. His assailant was reloading an arbalete. Lambert didn't wait for the second spear. Lambert was doomed by the superior strength of the murderer. His body never came to the surface. He would never tell where the Minerva lay. The killer would never tell what secret the cargo of the Minerva carried. The Carib Insurance Company had also sent for me to dive with Lambert. I didn't know that I would soon be facing the same mysterious killer. A seaplane brought me from Silver Springs to the island. Bad weather in the wake of the hurricane delayed the flight. When I finally arrived expecting to meet Lambert, I was sent instead to appear on the waterfront.
Hello, Mike Nelson?
That's right. Mr. Hanson of the Carib Insurance Company?
Yeah. I see my secretary finally get a hold of you.
At the hotel. I'm sorry that I missed Lambert this morning. I was about 6 hours late getting in. Lambert here?
No, that's why I'm down here, to identify his boat. They found it on the rocks. Empty.
That's all we have found so far.
This is Inspector Saunders, the island police. Mr. Nelson.
How do you do, Mr. Nelson?
Well, you suppose that he's trapped down there in the Minerva?
Well, we don't know.
Did he mark the spot?
We haven't found a marker.
There's only one other man who knows where the Minerva went down. He's a West Indian the natives call Lord Cristobal, sort of a local celebrity.
Oh, where'd I find him?
See the old Spanish fort up there?
Yeah?
He's a caretaker. Lives up there. I'm going to be tied up here for a while. Do you suppose you get on up there right away and get to work? You make whatever arrangements you need. I'll take care of the bills.
Okay. Lord Cristobal, huh?
The fort was a massive relic, over 500 years old, filled with blind corridors and stairways that led to nowhere. If Lord Cristobal was here, I didn't seem to be able to find him. And I became aware of someone singing. Calypso singing.
Dive deep in the big fish belly. Swim like the fishes if you can. Make a believe you're not just a man. Dive deep in the big fish belly. Swim like the fishes.
Shut up and listen to me.
Big fish belly.
Chris, will you stop that bluing noise and pay attention to me?
That could be Lord Cristobal.
Lambert's disappearing down there. Disappearing, I say, without a trace. Like he was swallowed.
Dive deep in the big fish belly.
It was a hex.
But who was the other man?
That's right, what else?
What do you mean?
Listen, I tell you the Minerva is hexed. That's why she sank. That's why Lambert disappeared down there. Is it worth £2 a day to die like he did?
Trying to scare me out of my £2? Why don't you go put no hand on me?
All right, but you'd soon find out £2 ain't worth hexing yourself for. Who are you?
My name's Mike Nelson. You're Lord Cristobal, aren't you?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to talk to you for a moment, please, huh?
Just a moment, not so blooming fast. I know what you want. You're from the Carib Insurance Company. Well, this man's under personal contract to me, see, and I say he don't work for nobody else but me.
What do you say?
You want him to show you where the Minerva is, don't you?
Now, what if I do?
He's got no diving gear. Let's go someplace else and talk, shall we? You're hexing yourself, I tell you. Do you think this charm will save you? Hexing yourself? What are you talking about?
He says that's why Lambert didn't come up.
That's nonsense. Is it nonsense that he'll starve after you've gone? If you work for him, you're finished with me. If you run out of me now, you'll never work for Webley Salvage again. I need him for my work. What are we fighting for? I'm going to be needing a boat. And you're in the salvage business. You've got everything that I want. What do you say, huh? I'm booked solid. 20 pounds a day, and you hire Lord Christopher. 20 pounds? Well, now, that's a little bit more like it. On the dock tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock, huh? You're on.
I show you where the Minerva went down.
I had played right into Webley's hands. I had given him a better way to keep the secret of the Minerva than he'd been able to find for himself. His salvage barge was an ideal place from which to work. I still suspected nothing next day when Chris and I started down to find the sunken ship. Webley had planted a fear of the hex in it, and he was still plagued by it. But he bravely went into the water. With Chris and me safely out of sight, Webley began preparing my death. He already had the murder weapon aboard the barge, the most innocent-looking weapon in the world, the diver's most valuable tool, the compressor, used to fill scuba tanks with life-giving air. Webley was preparing to change all that. The exhaust pipe of a gasoline-driven compressor is flexible so that it can be laid downwind from the air intake. Held directly in front of the intake, it blows deadly carbon monoxide gas through the compressor cylinders, through filters which are designed to take out solid impurities, but not to take out gas, into the diving bottle. Webley was filling this one with a sinister, deadly poison which I would not detect until it was too late. Chris and I had reached the Minerva's hull. We swam along it, making an initial inspection. The plate seemed to be in good shape. Then I saw it. Half-inch steel plates ripped open as though made of paper, ripped outward. That could mean only one thing, an explosion from inside. We would try to get into the hold from up on deck. I gave the signal for Chris to follow me. Inside the ship, a bulkhead kept us from the hold. The door leading through was sprung by the explosion. There was only one way to get into the hold. We would have to cut our way in with a torch. We started for the surface.
grinder?
Yeah. With a hole in her bottom.
Oh, went on a rock, eh?
No. An explosion on the inside. I'm gonna try to get in. I'll have to cut through a bulkhead. You rig for it?
Yeah. Break out the cutting torch. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go down with you, see we do a proper job. Oh, no one can handle a torch like I can.
Webley had set his trap. He knew that sooner or later I'd call for a fresh air bottle. And he had one ready for me. 2,200 pounds per square inch of choking, lethal poison gas. The cutting torch was ready. I was about to dive to the Minerva with a man whose object was murder. My murder. The man who had already killed one diver.
Hold this one, will you? Okay, I'll take it down.
All right.
Dive deep, the big fish belly. Swim like the fishes if you can. Make believe you're not just a man. Dive deep, the big fish belly.
Webley put the torch to the first lug in the jammed door.
Dive deep, big fish belly. Swim like the fishes if you... Go away, Black One! You got no right to put the hex on me! Take your black hex off of me! Go away!
We could go through now. But Webley warned me that my air must be nearly exhausted. He was right. He went up with me to see that I got the right bottle. The poisoned one.
Go away. Go away. Look at folks are going to die. Don't look at me. Go away. Go away. Take your black hex off of me. Go away.
What's the matter with you? Get your diving gear on. We're going down. Oh, let me give you a hand, Mr. Nelson. Fresh tank for you, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Black hex enough for me. Go away! Folks are gonna die.
Will you get your mind off what you're doing? Get your tank on.
Yes.
I go stow the torch, eh?
Yeah. Why don't you wear my tank? It's ready to go.
Thank you, Mr. Nelson.
What about this one here? Did you just fill it?
Yes, sir.
Give my regulator.
Yes, sir.
Ready to go?
Yeah, we're all ready.
I'm not superstitious. I don't believe in hexes or omens or signs. But what weird coincidences forewarned Chris of what neither the murderer or the intended victim knew. That he was diving with a bottle of poisoned air. I showed Webley the hole in the hull to prove that it must have been made by an internal explosion. We left Chris outside as safety man and swam up to the hatch on deck. Carbon monoxide is odorless and tasteless. Although Chris began to feel its effect, he couldn't know why or what it was. Even with the lugs cut through, it took all our strength to open the door. Its hinges were sprung and out of line. We swam into the hold and found it empty. There was no cargo at all. The internal explosion now added up. It was the old double swindle. The cargo had been heavily insured, but it was never loaded on board. Then the ship was scuttled for the insurance. I suddenly saw it on the deck of the hold, the proof of fraud that the insurance company needed. A time fuse and detonator. I told Webley to signal Chris to join us. Chris saw Webley's signal and started to surface, planning to join us on the way up. Although he was weak and sick, he still didn't know why. Chris was waiting for us when we got clear of the Minerva. We all started up together. We didn't notice that Chris started to lag behind. He was weakening rapidly now. The carbon monoxide was doing its work.
You feeling all right?
Hey, sure, I feel all right. What?
Well, when I was on the bottom, I was feeling kind of sick. I thought maybe you felt the same.
There's Chris. Started up with us. Maybe he's in trouble.
No. The same thing might happen to you as happened to him. Something in the water, maybe.
What are you talking about?
I'm captain of this boat, and I say you're staying aboard.
Let go of me.
I say you ain't going down.
What's the matter with you? Your man's in trouble down there.
So long as I'm captain, you ain't going down. There ain't no more airlines.
Ahoy there! Ahoy there!
I got a diver in trouble on the bottom. You got any diving gear aboard?
No!
You got any oxygen?
We got a resuscitator aboard.
Well, I need it. Hurry up! my mask.
What's he doing?
Saturating his lungs with oxygen. Men have managed to stay down 8 or 9 minutes that way.
Webley! Webley! I should like to ask you a few questions about a diver named Lambert.
Even with my lungs saturated with oxygen, I had to watch my time carefully. And I had to conserve my energy. Work uses up oxygen quickly. At the end of 3 minutes, I was beginning to feel the strain.
How long? Almost 5 minutes. I told her not to go down.
At the end of 5 minutes, I knew that I couldn't hold out much longer. There he was. My lungs and chest were already bursting, but I had to hold on. I had to keep from opening my mouth. I had to fight down the agonizing desire to breathe. Now that I had him, could I get him up in time? With my last bit of energy, I convulsively kicked for the surface.
There he is!
The color of his lips. They're bright red.
Yeah, it's carbon monoxide poisoning. Probably from that compressor. Turns the blood bright red, shows up in the lips. That's why he didn't want me to go down after him.
I'm afraid there are some questions you'll have to answer about this too, Webley.
You're okay now, Chris. You're okay.
Yes. The black hex. The hex.
There's no hex, Chris. And there's no Webley either. Not anymore. Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.
beautiful underwater growth. It forms underwater gardens, dense jungles, but sometimes graveyards. To swim through a kelp forest, a diver needs a good knife and plenty of experience, or he may end up like Dan Morgan. Dan Morgan and his wife, Ruth, loved diving, and diving together. They had new equipment, new spears, and hunting for bass seemed like great fun. The water was clear, the visibility good, but the fun didn't last long. "2 miles away, I was busy checking out Dr. Barr, a professor of marine biology, and 2 of his postgraduate students in skin diving, before embarking on an underwater expedition. Our schedule for today included underwater communication, by hand signals, by Morse code, and emergency action. Although hand signals have not been standardized yet, I teach my students a number of easily understood signs which are finding acceptance among many divers. This one means swim to the right. This one means halt. One of the most important distress signals underwater is the one to indicate trouble with air supply. Dr. Barr immediately understood my signal and in 40 feet of water offered to share his air with me. Sound carries well underwater, and the metal air tank of the scuba diver makes an excellent instrument for sending Morse code. Although my students had passed their Morse code test in a dry classroom, it was essential to test their ability to send and receive tapped communications under operational conditions. The vital importance of underwater communication was to be illustrated for my students that day, because within an hour, the life of a scuba diver would be saved or lost, depending on his ability to send a call for help under the surface of the sea. It was 4:45 when we surfaced, just in time to receive an urgent call from the Coast Guard asking me to render assistance to a lady in distress. Within minutes, we had rounded Crag Point and had the Morgan boat in sight.
He was dragged under. We were swimming and...
Who was dragged under?
My husband. We were spearfishing and I came to the
Just try to
surface
answer
and he
my
was...
questions, huh? Was he wearing scuba?
Yes.
How many tanks?
1. But Mr. Nelson...
When he went in, did he have a full tank of air?
Yes.
How long was he in before he was dragged under?
Well, just a few minutes, maybe 3, maybe 4 minutes.
How long has it been since he disappeared?
About 15 minutes, and he hasn't come up yet.
There's some binoculars in my locker. Go get him and start looking. Search for anything on the surface, especially bubbles.
Well, I should have swam down to him. I should have tried to untangle him from the line. I should have tried to get the thing out of the way.
Stop it. I'm sorry. But if you want to help us find your husband, you better keep your head. Tell me, what happened?
We were just a few feet below the surface of the water. Right over there. Suddenly, a bass swam by. It was huge. Dan fired his spear gun. It struck. It started to go in that direction.
To the point, huh?
But first I went to the surface and I swam up. And I saw the fish. And then I saw Dan and he was all tangled up in the line. He tried to free himself with his knife, but he lost it. Then the fish pulled him down under and took him over towards the point.
You see anything?
Nothing yet, Mike.
Nothing, Mike.
Nothing here, Mike.
You know how to handle a twin outboard, Dr. Barr?
Got one at home just like it.
All right, good. Now, from what Mrs. Morgan tells me, her husband disappeared somewhere between here and the point. Now, you take the outboard and parallel my course about 25 yards to that side, okay?
Right.
You go with him, Haynes.
Right, Mike.
And use those glasses.
But if Dan hasn't come up yet, is there still hope?
He has a good 30 minutes of airlift. We'll find him in time. Now, let me try those glasses. You take the wheel, will you? Keep a sharp watch for equipment they might have jettisoned.
Hey, Mike, over there.
How far?
About 100 yards. There's a lot of bubbles coming to the surface.
Yeah. Straight ahead, toward the point.
Within 3 minutes, our boats had reached the bubbles, which were probably coming up from Dan Morgan's air tanks. We were ready to dive.
Let's go, huh?
We had no trouble following the stream of bubbles downward, but 20 feet below, we were stopped short. The bubbles had disappeared. But that wasn't too alarming. An underwater current might easily have swept the bubbles out of their original path. I swam down with a marker buoy and line to mark our position. I motioned to my partners to remain below and search while I went up for more equipment.
Did you find him?
No, not yet. Doctor, throw over the reel and line. We're gonna have to do some looking.
But the bubbles, didn't you follow them?
Currents do funny things sometimes. The bubbles just disappeared.
If you need help, you yank on the marker cord, right, Mike?
You're a good student, Doctor.
I came down with a reel and a line, because an underwater search has to be systematic. You must leave no inch of the bottom uncovered and must not cover any part of the ground twice. One sure method is the circular search, swimming around the reel at different distances from the center. Not air bubbles from Morgan's tank, but natural gas, escaping from a fissure in the ocean floor. The gas well discovery meant nothing. Uppermost in our minds was what this disastrous news would mean to Ruth Morgan. It was up to me to break the bad news to Ruth Morgan while my students brought up the reel. I knew in my heart that we had very little hope. Time was against us. The search pattern had to be carefully laid out.
No. But the bubbles, didn't you follow them?
It was from a natural gas well.
Oh, then he's lost. We'll never find him.
Hold on now. There's still time. You still got air. Can't be far away.
Did you find him? No. I found something. See the initials on it.
DM. What's your husband's first name?
Dan. It's his. I know it.
Where'd you find it? I marked it with a buoy.
Hey, Mike. Found the reel.
Good. Hey, Wilson. You take the wheel again, huh?
Right, Mike.
Follow bar.
Right.
See the marker that Barr left?
Yeah.
What's the matter? Kelp.
It's bull kelp.
It's been dragged into an underwater forest of bull kelp.
This is something that I haven't checked you out on. Swimming in kelp is going to be plenty dangerous. If you get panicky and forget what I've taught you, you're going to be in trouble. All right. Can't talk you out of it. Come on. Let's get going. Take out your knives. We'll swim with them in our hands.
Mr. Nelson, I'm going with you.
It's too dangerous.
But my husband's down there. I've got to help. Don't you understand?
All right, you swim in a search path right next to me. And swim with your knife in your hand, huh?
Well, but...
In case you get tangled with kelp.
We marked the search area, getting ready to dive. Less than 50 yards away from us, there was a rising stream of air bubbles. These bubbles rose from Dan Morgan's air tank. They never reached the surface. They were caught by the imprisoning kelp leaves. The entangling fish line which had dragged him into the trap held him a prisoner. Without his knife, which he had lost when he speared the fish, he couldn't cut himself loose. The search began, first near the markers and at prearranged levels. We swam down through clear water just outside the edge of the kelp. Next to the danger of entanglement in kelp is the danger of losing your sense of direction. Against this, of course, the diver's best defense is his compass. Each of my students swore one, and it would swim a straight search path through the kelp on a course of 95 degrees. Mrs. Morgan, having no compass, had to guide herself by watching me. The problem now was to swim a straight course. anxiety to locate Morgan, I didn't notice that I had lost Mrs. Morgan. A tapping sound. Was the missing man tapping out a distress signal? But from where? Underwater sound seems to come from all directions. But the tapping noise didn't come from the imprisoned man. He also heard it and tried to see from where it was coming. Although he wasn't more than 20 yards from me, he couldn't see me, and I couldn't see him. A sudden surge of kelp dragged the air hose from her mouth, but I knew that I could reach her in a few seconds. The trapped man listened for the tapping to start again, in hope that it signaled the approach of some rescuer. But the tapping had ceased, and no one came. I could see that she had swallowed some water and began to guide her back out of the kelp. I started a service with her while my students continued the search. Time was growing short. Less and less light was penetrating the underwater jungle, and Dan Morgan's air supply must have been at the very end. When Dan Morgan had heard the tapping noise, his hope had revived. If anyone were within earshot, they could hear his tapping too. His hand strained toward a stone which was just beyond his reach. Because of the failing light, my students had decided to turn back without completing a search of their paths. They too started for the surface.
How do you feel? Are you all right? Do you feel better?
Yes. I'm going back down.
We almost lost you once. Let's not try it again.
Mike!
Did you find anything?
No! The kelp gets thicker the further in you get. We've got to find flares or something.
Come aboard, all of you.
Oh, you're not calling off the search, are you?
For them, yes.
Oh, but Mr. Nelson, you can't
It's getting dark.
Well, but they're all willing.
They're my students. Their lives are my responsibility.
You just can't leave him out there.
Doctor, get my portable light for me, huh?
Right, Doctor.
There's still time for one more try.
I'm going with you.
No.
I'm going.
Hold it.
I'm coming. Please find him.
Time, 5:30. It would soon be totally dark, and Morgan would be out of air. again the sound of tapping. Had Ruth followed me? The tapping sound seemed to come from all directions. Suddenly, I saw something in the distance. The tapping seemed louder. Once I had located Dan Morgan, it took me only seconds to free him and take him to the surface.
Dan! Darling!
Oh, it's all right, honey. It's all right. Let's show off, huh? Thanks. Hi there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is certainly a lot of fun, and it's full of adventure. See some more of it again next week, huh? When there'll be another excursion into that fabulous underwater world of Sea Hunt.
On the ocean bottom off the islands of Greece lie many ancient treasures, statues and other works of art lost in the shipwrecks of antiquity. I was searching the area for the Greek government, But I was unaware that my presence underwater was of great interest to a couple of people on the surface.
Do you see him?
I see his air bubbles. Ah, he's coming this way. All right. He's begging for it.
Will it kill him?
If he's lucky, no. I've set the booby traps far apart.
He must be dead.
Americans are stupid but lucky. I'll see.
I was brought aboard ship by the man who tried to kill me. But I didn't know that.
I still say that you saved my life. Thanks a lot, huh? For fishing me out.
Oh, it was nothing. But, searching for ancient statues, why did the government send you into these waters?
Well, they turned over a whole trunk full of old maps to me. And all the maps led to the same spot, right down there where you took me out.
They should have warned you about the Nazi occupation here during the war.
Oh, why?
But that is the cause of the explosions. The Nazis dumped many mines into these waters.
It would be better for you not to look for antiquities here. I could show you other places.
Well, that's very nice of you, thanks, but, all the maps say search here, so I better exhaust that possibility first, don't you think?
But you'll be killed here, don't you understand? You almost were killed.
Well, during the war, that was one of my jobs. Clearing underwater mines, so I guess there's no problem. Yeah, so, now that I know what I'm up against, all I have to do is clear the area first before I start searching for the statuary.
Do you think you will feel well enough? I could take you to a doctor.
Well, I'm okay now, thanks. You mind putting me ashore, please?
So he's going to continue his search. I told you, Americans are weak in the head.
They have very strong bodies. What will you do with the pieces of statue he'll find?
I'll move them. Am I going to leave a fortune for him? I already have a customer, an offer of 50,000 American dollars.
If they're so stupid, how do they become so rich? And good looking.
Tomorrow you stay close to him, huh?
I will like that.
Having made sure that the fragments of the Hermes were intact, Elias saw to it that no one would get to them before he moved them.
Hello. Hello.
Oh, hi, Falana.
What are you doing?
I'm fixing up a homemade mine detector.
Oh.
I finally managed to round up enough electrical equipment from the village to do the job. I got some weatherproof batteries.
Your ears, do they still hurt?
Okay, and got some magnets.
Sometimes they bleed.
Yeah, well, they're not bleeding. I also rigged up a clicker so I could hear it. Here. Well,
Your eyes. The little blood vessels burst sometime. Yours are very clear. You were very healthy.
well, thanks for the diagnosis.
Did you know there's a dance Saturday? Did you know there's a dance in the village Saturday?
No, I didn't know that.
Would you like to go with me?
Well, it'd be very nice, but what about your boyfriend?
I have no boyfriend.
The fellow who saved my life. Isn't he your boyfriend?
Elias? No.
Well, that changes the picture of things. Okay, we got a date. Tomorrow night. When is it, Saturday night?
Good. And this afternoon I will go diving with you.
Oh, no. There are too many mines around.
I'm not afraid of them with you.
The answer is no.
I'm an expert diver.
No.
Yes.
Falana was a very persuasive girl. She was also very interested in the workings of my homemade mine detector. I probed carefully. Then I hit something. Falana panicked when she saw it, but I caught her, held her still. Sometimes the pressure of disturbed water can set off one of these things.
I have never seen that done. It was so dangerous. You're wonderful.
Let's save that for the dance, huh? Now, why'd you bring your friend Elias along?
I told you he's not a friend of mine. I like you.
Oh, he's a friend of mine. Saved my life. He also told me about these Nazi mines. Would you say he was a friend of mine?
Yes, but...
Let's get back to the village, huh? It wasn't a Nazi mine. It was made in Great Britain not more than 2 years ago. What was Elias's game in telling me that story about Nazi mines? And what was behind Falana's persuasive charm? decided that I'd better keep an eye on my so-called friends. I found what seemed a secluded spot from which to observe them. Elias prepared to haul up the fragments of the statue. Apparently, Falana had developed a sudden respect for human life. She was worried about the mine which Elias had planted. But Elias showed her that so long as the pin was in place, the mine was harmless. It worked just like a small grenade. He had removed the line which might set it off.
We haul the net 20 feet off the bottom and go all the way.
But why leave the statue in the water? Why not take it offshore?
Because my customer is not here yet. With the $50,000. We have a good time, eh, Filana? Huh? What the devil's that? The windshield of a Jeep.
The Americans?
He suspects something.
Let him.
He'll follow us. No. I have a better idea. We make him a partner.
Yes.
You like that, huh?
Yes.
Remember, the money is all he shares with me. Come on. We row ashore.
It was plain that they had somehow spotted me, but I couldn't move my car. There was nothing to do now but show myself and make some kind of an explanation of why I was here.
Hello, Mike. I didn't expect to see you so soon.
No, I didn't expect to see you either. I figured I would.
Tell him, Elias.
You tell him.
Mike, it is about the statues you are looking for. I told you there are better places to search, didn't I? Pig. Double-crossing pig. You said he would share with us.
Him? Why should he?
You killed him.
He'll come to in a couple of hours. After I get to Hermes where he's safe.
But you promised.
Listen, you. Ever since you saw him, you wanted to get your hands on him.
And why not? Do you own me?
We share the Hermes money.
Again, promises. He's 10 times the man you are. All right, I'll stay with him.
Oh, no. You get him later, after I hide the Hermes. And I find somebody else to spend the money on.
Elias, I'm sorry. He's nothing to me.
Oh, no. Come on.
As he reached for his knife, he noticed that he had snagged a line. A line that might be one which he himself had rigged. A line to a booby trap. But he had the presence of mind to hold still. One tug on that line might trigger an explosion. Meantime, I had recovered consciousness. Their empty boat told me that they were again underwater. I decided to investigate. I saw and heard the explosion as I hurried toward the water. Now it was more urgent than ever that I find out what was going on underneath.
Mike, another explosion. Another mine. Elias is gone. He tried to kill me just like he tried to kill you.
Yeah. Well, you had a hold of my arm.
Oh, I didn't know he was going to. I swear it. He wanted to kill me too, but I swam away. Then there was an explosion.
Make it out, see if I can find him.
Oh, it's no use.
Why?
He drifted away with the current.
Why did he hit me?
I will tell you the truth.
That's what I want to hear.
Elias found a statue of great value. Fragments of a Hermes for which he was promised $50,000.
Where is it? The statue, I mean.
Hidden.
Where? Are you going to tell me?
Mike, do you know what Philana means in Greek? It means loving. With a statue, we could do many wonderful things together after it is sold.
It's government property.
Who would know?
I would know.
But it's a fortune for us.
Sorry, no deal.
Even though I would help you enjoy the money?
Yeah, even though you'd help me enjoy the money.
Why not?
Because I prefer to make my money honestly. You're going to show me where that statue is, you hear?
All right. Part of it is underneath the boat. The rest is in a cave.
told the truth. 20 feet under the keel was a net full of statuary. And there was the cave, where additional fragments were hidden. I went inside to look them over. I hadn't found anything in the cave. I swam out looking for Falana.
Please let me explain.
10 pounds of dynamite in my face is enough explanation. Get aboard.
But murder and theft of valuable antiquities do need explanation. And Falana had a lot of explaining to do to the police.
Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.
don't usually go on treasure hunts, but this time I was on a very special one. I was underwater in a West Coast harbor, looking for a fortune in illegal drugs. I was carefully checking the hulls, propellers, and rudders of boats and ships for any possible hiding place. The Federal Narcotics Bureau had an important tip. The drugs were expected to be in a sealed container attached below the waterline to some craft in the harbor. Then I saw another diver alongside the hull of a large ship. It seems that I'd been searching the wrong vessels. This other diver, whoever he was, had beaten me to the treasure. I wasn't going to let it get away that easily. Besides, I was sure that the Narcotics Bureau would be most interested in where he went with it. The diver brought his container ashore at a breakwater. Seemed to be waiting there. My guess was that it wouldn't be for long. I had a wild idea. If I was going to do something, I'd have to do it fast, while he was still alone.
What are you doing here?
Just a moment, please. Sorry. Get up. Let's go this way. What about him? You got the stuff. Let's go.
My only hope now seemed to be a couple of men walking down the beach.
Hi. Behave yourself, I'll give it to you right here.
What do you got there, Mac? A bomb?
Yeah.
Better be careful, don't go off.
You all right, Mike?
Hey, you cut it kind of close, didn't you?
Sorry.
$500,000 by the time these characters get through cutting it.
Now, one thing about those fellows from the Narcotics Bureau, they always seem to turn up at the right time. Though I wasn't so sure it was the right time when Charlie Keller turned up again.
See ya. Doing yourself any good?
Am I? Take a look at this.
Hey, that's all right.
Half-hour fishing.
Mike, we need your help again. This time we need it fast.
Oh?
We've got a vessel out in the harbor that's under suspicion.
Yeah?
She docked this morning from Bolivano. We had a solid gold tip. 10 pounds of heroin, $2 million worth of this stuff on board.
Wow.
We searched it from stem to stern. We couldn't find a grain of it.
Check the hull, huh?
Well, Charlie Varick did. You know him, don't you?
Oh, he's a good man.
But he didn't find it either, Mike.
Any chance they might have sneaked it off past you?
When they unloaded the cargo? No, I don't think so. We checked every box and every barrel. We even searched every crew member who went ashore, and that means all of them, except the bosun's mate. He's still aboard, taking care of the store.
You think you might be waiting for somebody to come out and take delivery, huh?
No, that's possible, but it's pretty risky. Mike, she shoves off in the morning.
It's not possible to keep her from sailing some way, is it?
Not just on suspicion of contraband, no. We have to have some proof.
Well, I don't know what I could find that you fellas have missed. But if you want me to,
We do, Mike. That tip could be solid.
Okay. I'll go out and take a look.
I didn't expect to see anything much at that distance, so I wasn't disappointed. I was puzzled, though, by that crewman. What was he staring at so intently? Those bubbles? It just meant that the ship was discharging water from one of its ballast tanks. Nothing unusual about that. Suddenly I realized that it was unusual. That freighter had unloaded her cargo already, so she needed all the ballast that she could carry to ride easy. Instead, she was emptying one of her ballast tanks. Why? For only one reason that I could think of. That crewman wanted to get at something hidden in the tank. Those 10 pounds of heroin that the Bureau agents hadn't been able to find. I intended to get to it before he did. was the right tank, it seemed. Now, if my hunch was also right, I was about to find $2 million worth of heroin. This was it. I'd found it. Hidden aboard this freighter, tied up now in a West Coast harbor, was a quantity of heroin valued by the criminal underworld at $2 million. I had found the heroin, and I had been trapped in an empty ballast tank with it. It didn't take the crewman who had trapped me very long to decide my fate. He intended to drown me. He didn't know that I had a diving rod with me. Or maybe he did, and figured that he'd keep me in here until my air supply ran out. I couldn't wait to find out. I couldn't wait at all. Unless I got out in the next 30 minutes, I'd have to be dragged out. I took off my gear so I could work more easily. Well, the best knife in the world wouldn't have helped me. What I needed was an acetylene torch. I started to check my tanks. At the rate the water was rising, I'd have to depend on them very soon. I knew what the crewman would expect to see now, floating in this water-filled coffin. I did my best not to disappoint him. I was heading for the dock when I spotted the two men coming aboard. I realized immediately that they were much bigger game than the container of narcotics itself.
Johnny! Go find him, Tom.
Yes, sir, Mr. D.
Johnny! Hey, Johnny! 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 Hey, Johnny!
Hi! Be with you in a minute!
See Mike yet?
Not yet, but I'm sure he got on. I think he got on the other side, though.
We better get aboard and get him before they find him.
We can't. We gotta wait for him to make the buy first.
Well, that's pretty risky for Mike.
Hi.
Where's Johnny?
Oh, he went ashore.
On the shore?
Yeah. He wants me to handle a deal for him.
Who are you?
My name's Fred.
Must be a good friend of Johnny's.
I guess so.
What's his last name?
What is it, a game? How do I know? He calls me Freddie, I call him Johnny. We just work together, that's all.
You're a deckhand, aren't you?
No, I'm a captain. What's it look like I am?
Tom?
Where's he going?
Oh, he'll be back.
Look, if you don't want to make a buy, it's okay.
But we do.
I know, go get the stuff.
When we know it's yours to sell.
I found the stuff, Mr. D. And this. And there's no one on the crew less named Fred.
Thank you, Fred. Or whatever your name is. Skin diving equipment. You know, a diver cost us the shipment last month and a couple of my best boys. Diver by the name of Nelson. You, I suppose?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Tom, why don't you explain it to him? What did he say his name was?
Over right there, Mr. D. You too, Tom. Come over here, Tom. Now put your hands behind you, both of you.
We gotta get him to a hospital. How you doing, man?
How you doing? Well, I felt better. Did you get him?
You bet we did, Mike.
How about the heroin?
That too.
I feel better already.
Good, man. Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. Skin diving is fun and adventure for young and old, but it can be dangerous. So know the sport well and don't take any chances. Be with you next week for another exciting sea hunt.
I was down in the Bahamas with a camera looking for unusual angles, backgrounds, and subjects. Some were a little shy, but my luck had been good. Even so, I never expected to come across 4 beautifully outlined mermaids on the surface above me, much less to find them posing perfectly, as if especially for me. It looked exceptionally good from my underwater angle, so I got busy with my camera. Then I moved toward the surface to see what it was all about. Suddenly, my mermaids were swimming away from me, as if they'd seen a shark. It was a very strange change. What I hadn't realized was that they had seen a shot. Me. And I was about to become tangled up in a brand new form of galloping grief. 4 well-shaped charges of exploding dynamite.
Still got that camera. Let's get him, girls.
Suddenly, I was being attacked by 4 female furies. They swarmed all over me. One was tugging at my camera, another was pulling on my face mask, another had my mouthpiece. I didn't know what had hit me, or why. I couldn't very well fight back and remain a gentleman, or even get a grip on the situation. And there was no way to ask questions, or even surrender. So I did the only honorable thing that any man could do under these circumstances. I ran like a coward. But now I had to find out what this was all about. My curiosity got the better of my caution. I swam back toward their boat.
I've had a lot of dirty tricks pulled on me in my life, but this one really takes the cake.
Well, he's got to come up sometime. We can just follow his bubbles, maybe. There are some bubbles right there.
Oh, there you are, you thief. I suppose you've come up because you want to see if I will pay more for your photographs than the crook who's paying you. Well, I will. How much?
Slow down, huh? Let me catch up with you. Explain it, slowly.
People like you always have their price. How much?
I don't seem to be able to get through to you. I don't understand what you're talking about. Maybe your girls will be able to explain it to me, huh? Why'd you try to drown me down there? Just because I took a couple of pictures of you.
Perhaps it's possible that we've made a mistake. If we have, we owe you an apology. These girls are professional models. I design swimsuits. Our company makes them. Mr. Boothby here is photographing them for me. If our competitors can steal our styles before we can put them on the market, they can drive a $2 million corporation right out of business.
Oh, that's it, huh? That's why you girls got a little rough with me down there, huh? Well, I guess the simplest way out of this is to give you this film. You can get it developed and keep the shots that I took of the girls. If you don't mind, though, I would like the rest of the roll back. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Well,
Mr. Nelson.
nice to see you again. Come on in, girls.
Hi.
Oh, this is a real pleasure. Hi.
I brought your pictures back, just as I promised.
Oh, that's very nice of you. Thanks a lot. Sit down, huh? I want to take a look at these. How do they look?
Oh, the ones of my girls are just enchanting. I never realized that underwater anything could be that beautiful.
Well, those were my sentiments exactly. That's why I took the pictures of them.
Well, your pictures have given me an entirely new concept. I want to switch our entire advertising campaign, pivot it around underwater photographs.
That's a good idea. It's very unusual.
And I want you to take them for me.
Slow down. You're going a little too fast for me again.
Our swimsuits have never looked better.
Well, what about the photographer you already have?
Oh, I'll have other assignments for Mr. Boothby. But on this one, I need you.
Oh, that's very nice. I'd like to, but I got other plans. I don't see how I...
Please, Mr.
Please
Nelson.
say yes.
You'll be the models, huh?
Underwater models.
Sure.
You going on the water?
And I'll need you to, teach them how to use those tanks and things you wear.
Well,
I could change my plans. When do we start? We started immediately, and by the second day, I had them underwater. Technically, this came under the heading of work, but you could hardly call it slave labor. Inez had to leave, Wanda was still right there, waiting for a little more instruction. She was a very eager beaver. So I taught her how to share air in an emergency, what we call buddy breathing. And what a buddy. I had to admit that Wanda, a little more than Inez, had a way of, well, Wanda had a way.
That's so you know who you really belong to.
You don't think I want to kiss anyone else, do you?
Well, you better not. You really think you've softened him up?
Believe me.
Good, because I've got to do something soon. Richard Reales is getting mighty anxious about those pictures. And he's not a man to keep waiting. He used to be a racketeer before he went in the garment business. I think he still is.
Honey, do you think it's worth it?
Well, whether it is or not, I'm committed for $10,000. He's already paid me $5,000.
Well, you're a skin diver. I don't see why you just couldn't tell Edie that you could go down and take the underwater pictures, too.
I did, but she wanted Mike Nelson. I just couldn't change her mind.
Well, whatever you decide to do, darling, be careful.
I will. With your help, it shouldn't be too difficult.
Next day, I started with Wanda and Inez on our first series of underwater photographs. Wanda didn't quite seem to understand my signals. She kept doing the wrong thing. I was too busy to suspect that she might be doing the wrong thing deliberately to distract me. In the distance, a swimmer was disappearing fast. He had my camera and its priceless films. I went after him with everything that I had. Despite his long lead, I began to close in on him. He realized that I was overtaking him and released the camera. By the time I had picked my camera up again and checked it, he had reached his boat and was taking off. He had gotten safely away, but he had put me on notice. Somebody was willing to play rough to get those pictures. Somebody who probably was ready to play much rougher, if he had to. I was in the Bahamas acting as an underwater photographer for a famous designer of bathing suits, Edith Judd. Style pirates were trying to spy out her designs and beat her to the market. An unsuccessful attempt had been made the day before to steal my films, but now everything seemed to have returned to normal. The girls were very cooperative, and the photography again was coming along exceptionally well. One fact kept bothering me. Only 2 other people, beside Edith and myself, had known where we would be working the day before, Wanda and Inez. It seemed hard to believe that either one of them would sell us out. But now I was almost certain that one of them had. There was a streak of jealousy in Inez. She didn't conceal it too well. She was the one that I suspected, but I tried not to give her any indication of it or any tip-off.
Hi, Edie. Oh, something wrong?
You tell me, Mr. Nelson. Here's your mail. The hotel sent it down with mine. I'd like an explanation of that little package. It was returned because you didn't put enough stamps on it. Well, I'm waiting for your explanation.
Of what?
Of that name and address. Of why a package of film should be going from you to Mr. Richard Relis, my esteemed competitor.
I don't know Mr. Richard Relis. I didn't send this.
Oh, don't try to cover up, Mr. Nielsen. They're obviously pictures you've been taking for me. Well, it is your name and return address, right there in the corner.
That's my name, but that's not my printing. I didn't print that. You're making a big mistake.
Oh, no. I made my mistake when I dropped Alex Boothby, a man who's been working with me for years. And as of tomorrow, Alex is taking over again. And as of right now, Mr. Nelson, your services are terminated.
Come on in. Door's open.
Mike?
Oh, hello, Inez.
Mike, I just wanted you to know that I think Edith is being very impulsive and very foolish.
Thank you, I agree.
I'm sure you didn't do any of those things she said you did.
That's right, I didn't.
Well, I just wanted you to know that.
Thanks. Nice of you to come in and tell me.
Oh, Mike, I wish you weren't leaving.
Well, I'm glad to know that I'll be missed.
Oh, you will be. But it's more than that. I wasn't afraid while you were here. I am now that you're going.
What do you mean? What will you be afraid of? Oh, you mean on the water? Huh? You're gonna be all right. You're good on the water. Oh, I sure been wrong about you.
What do you mean, Mike?
That's not important now. What are you guys gonna do tomorrow, huh? You following my schedule?
No. No more underwater. They've picked out a new place entirely. Some place Alex has picked out.
Oh, I think I'll change my mind. I'll be around for a while.
Hello, dear. Hello. Been to see Mike Nelson? Yes. Nothing personal, I hope. That's really my business, isn't it? I hope it was yours, not mine. And if it wasn't, you could be a very unhappy girl.
I was relaxing at the hotel with a new friend that I had made when I was paged for a phone call. I expected it to be Inez. But it was Edith. She was frantic. There was trouble. She wanted my help quickly. Boothby had selected a place called Beauville Rock and the caves within it as a photographic background. The moment I heard Beauville Rock, I knew what the trouble must be. This was the wrong time of year for Beauville Rock. At low tide, the rock looked okay to anyone who didn't know it. But at high tide, it became a raging death trap. At least twice a year, unwary people were marooned out on the rock. And several had been swept to their deaths by the high waves and raging tides. When I hit the beach, I needed only one look to tell me that my fears were well-founded. For Boothby to send anybody out onto Beauville Rock to pose was nothing but a cleverly concealed form of murder. Edith was on the beach in a state of tears and hysteria. Boothby and Wanda seemed frightened. And there, far out on the rock, cut off by the tide and the surf, was one lonely figure, Inez. To know Beauville Rock very well when I was searching for an old Spanish treasure ship. I had never tried to reach it in conditions like this. But many times you can move underwater when it would be impossible to survive up above. There was a hollow in Beauville Rock. If I could ride the tides into that hollow, I might be able to reach Inez. Now the currents were like octopus arms, twisting, pulling, tearing, tangling. I had to cling to whatever handhold I could find on the bottom to keep from being sucked to the raging surface. I was behind the main rocks, into the hollow, and quieter waters. But worse was to come.
You want to get back to shore, don't you? Huh? Don't you?
Yes, yes.
Then get a hold of yourself. Listen. We're going to have to share the same tank. Understand? There's a big current running down there. We may get separated.
Boy, do you think I can make it?
I know you can. Here, turn around. forget. Hold on to me real tight, huh? I'm depending on this for my air, too, huh? Come on now.
Getting in myself had been tough enough. Getting back with her would take everything that either of us had. Forced our way along, sharing the air, hanging on to each other for dear life, until we were well away from the rock. Then we fought our way along the bottom.
Why was he trying to kill you? Huh?
No, I guess he was afraid I'd tell what I knew about him.
About what? That he was working for somebody else?
For realists? Well, why didn't you tell me this before?
I wasn't sure at first, and then... I don't know, I guess I was scared.
What a fool I've been. Oh, and Mike, can you ever forgive me?
Vanessa, forgive me. I got some unfinished business over here. I'll see you later. Hello there. I'm Lloyd Bridges. You know, 3/5 of the world is covered by the sea. And how little most of us know about that underwater world. Go below with us again next week, huh? For another thrilling adventure in Sea Hunt.